Here we go.
Farm Companion.
Right into it.
Have my drum rolling.
I guess last week we were just getting ready to go to Illinois.
Yeah.
We're back.
Been on the Illinois kick.
Coincidentally, we're back.
We're back. We're so back.
It may have been the most productive trip that we've had in Illinois. From like just here's the list. We need to get all this shit done.
It's the first one I can remember being done ahead of schedule.
We had like 2 hours.
Where we're like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, we had all this time for activities.
We had more than 2 hours. Yeah, you had the evening and the following morning I'd planned on.
Yeah, that's true.
We just peeled out.
Yep. So yeah, we got the full spectrum of the list. I mean, were there any surprises that we got caught with?
I would say only positive if there were any. I thought that some of the CRP fields looked better than I was expecting per Chris's diagnosis.
In terms of the amount of switch that was in them and stuff. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think that was really good. Beans went in good.
Yeah.
We looked this morning, like one of our clover plots is already torching out.
Yep, looks good. The other, I think, positive surprise was we were expecting like a bone dry, like hard soils, and we were gonna struggle to get in there with the drill and stuff. But it seemed like it had rained like within the past couple of days. Like we had some decent.
There was like a 1/4 inch like the week before.
Yeah,
and I think that was enough that between that and just basically weed cover and stuff, it just kept moisture in there.
Yeah, so the conditions were perfect. It was windy. It was real.
That was
windy.
the downfall of it.
If I would have changed anything, I'm like, maybe I would have just held off, and we would have done more spraying at the tail end of the trip. But there was no way to know.
Yeah, from a timing standpoint.
Yeah,
it was interesting. One of the guys, I think it was Tony. One of the guys, anyways, wrote us and said, hey, for my business, he's like, there's actually a product that is for spraying in the wind. Like it's a droplet control that you add into the tank. And it basically will keep it from drifting. It I don't know what it does, if it binds to it and pulls it straight down or what.
Interesting.
But there is a product in there. Let's see if I can find it to let people know.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, yeah, I mean, we did the best we could. You just dropped that boom, all the way down, and probably those clover plots, that was the windiest it was.
Yeah.
And we did that basically after dark. It was we were just trying to wait for it to die down a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony. Tony wrote and said, just listening to the Illinois pod from Sunday, did no one try or suggest a drift control chemical to deal with the wind? I use it a lot in my business spraying lawns. I said, I had no idea. He said, it is a thing and it does work. You can spray 2,4-D in triclopyr next to flower beds in 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and it won't kill the flowers. It's called Border 2.0.
Good to know.
Good drop there.
Make a note of that.
Yep, and it's called it's a concentrated liquid adjuvant that for spraying droplet management and enhances performance of spray applications by modifying the physical characteristics of the spray droplet, improving droplet retention while reducing off-target drift and movement.
Interesting.
Border 2.0 for anyone listening.
I wonder if it just seems like a binding agent for like it like increases the size of the droplets almost.
Yeah.
Rather than that fine mist, which is more likely to get
high performance drift control agent and deposition designed to improve the accuracy and efficiency of herbicide applications. 2 to 4 pints of Border 2.0 per 100 gallons of spray. Almost basically what surfactant or crop oil is.
Yeah. I wonder if crop oil helps with that too. You'd think it would have a similar property.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can't hurt.
No, I mean, I don't know how expensive Border 2.0 is. Somebody will look it up, but like
probably not that expensive.
For 2 pints, so that's 16 ounces, right?
Yeah.
No.
That's a quart.
32 ounces, yeah, a quart. So, yeah, I mean.
2 pints is a quart.
Which is 32 ounces.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'd be well worth looking at if you have to, right? I mean, that was the conditions that we were in, is like we chose to go out there. We had to get all this done in a certain period of time, primarily because we had a huge rain front coming that we wanted to catch. If you're at home and you've got all the time in the world to spray behind your house, like just don't spray when it's windy. Yeah. But when you're in these situations that you're having to pick days off work to travel out there like we did, it's like we don't have a choice. Whatever the conditions were, it was dry, which was condition number one we needed. The wind just sucked, and that, it was what it was.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think more times than not this season, I've caught myself having to spray
in wind
in less than ideal. Yeah, I would prefer it.
Well, typically it's because it's before or after a front, which is going to have wind with it.
Well, it's just when you can get there. Anytime it's a remote farm, it's
yeah,
you don't have the flexibility that you would, like you said, behind the house. So.
So anyways, we got everything sprayed. We just basically put the boom almost as low as it would go without like dragging through the weeds.
I will say that the enclosure you have on that Ranger is a big deal for that.
It's huge.
Yeah, we really wouldn't have wanted to be doing that with an exposed
Not
cage.
the shit we were spraying.
Right.
Spraying straight autism in a bottle.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, yeah, I didn't have any. I could not spray. I could not smell any chemical in that enclosure at all.
Me neither. It was great.
Yeah. So so that was a big benefit there, and I mean, I think overall everything went in, and then fortunately we caught like 1.7 inches of rain over the next 2 days.
Yeah, it feels so good, man, to be. We had the whole list. We worked everything out. There was some on the fly stuff. Like we got some additional count.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can never have too much. So we try to over order on some of that stuff, and same with seed. Make sure we're in good shape there. But I mean, it feels good to because I can remember times where it was like to plant 2 quarter-acre clover plots felt like. That was a whole day. Okay, we got to clear this, and we got to till it, and we got to do this, and it was like. There's so many things that little things to know along the way that make it go smoothly. And so as you learn that stuff over time, it's like we were able to go in there and prep half of the farm. You know what I mean? It's like literally, a third of the acreage on the farm. It's like we're touching at some point with a mower, with a drill, with a sprayer, all of the above. And so, I mean, everything's prepped. We got all of the beans in. We got all those sprayed. We got all of the CRP treated and or planned for calling in the co-op in the next week, with that. We got all of the brassicas nuked in advance. So when we go back and take care of that, we got all the clover treated with, like you said, and they're burning down already. So it's like, we're good, man. I think that's the rotation. If you, and maybe more depending on if you have other projects, but with what we're doing, which is grains, so just soybeans is what the farmer's going to do corn, but we're doing beans, brassicas and clover, and maybe at some point, like a rye or a wheat or something like that.
Yeah, as a recovery type.
And switchgrass. So those are like your
4 basics.
Your 4 cores, and we're gonna handle all of that with I think 3 trips throughout the summer is what it's gonna take. You got to and there are others. We could put out a calendar at some point, but. We have the assistance of a kid there locally that's helping us out.
Yep, to spray.
Shout out to Caden and the co-op.
And the co-op.
So between them and us, we're able to get everything done in a mid-May.
Yep.
Planting trip.
Yep.
A mid-June checkup trip I think is warranted. And a mid to end of July fall planting camera trip.
Yeah, I think the mid-June trip is it's nice if it works out, but if it doesn't work out, you're not missing as much.
Yeah, so the plan with the where we left that was as of right now, we need to get that 7-acre CRP field sprayed because it was overrun with foxtail last year. So it needs a quinchloric cocktail. The only thing I'm still trying to figure out with Skip, we're bouncing off some ideas here, is that bottom 10-acre CRP field. We did not drill anything into it. So it looks good. We sprayed it in March, but it just has some cool seasons coming back. So quinchloric is not going to help with those.
Talking about the big field?
Cool seasons, yeah. Yeah, so it needs...
I think it's fine.
It needs maybe nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it needs anything.
Maybe nothing. If we were going to do anything, it would be either an atrazine...
for the cool season grasses.
Cocktail, or it would be an Amazopic type of a cocktail. Or nothing, like you said. So we're going to make a call on that.
I mean, it again, just... It didn't kill all of the cool seasons, but seeing what that looked like last year versus this year, I have to imagine that thing's going to be 10 times as good.
I think it will. I think we're in good shape.
Yeah. If anything, it's the stuff that didn't get sprayed that's overrun. And I think it'll still end up being good warm season grasses, but it's got a lot of competition.
Yeah. So that's the immediate stuff. I'm trying to get Julie on that in the next week or so. The trip in June is to go back out. The main thing would be, frankly, to spray beans if it needs it.
If it needs it.
and to mow upcoming brassica plots and some of the established switch, depending on the weed competition in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That would be what we're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following week, like a July 1st, I'd send Caden back out after we've mowed those brassica plots to spray and prep those for mid to end of July.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That makes sense.
I also want to just check up on some of those. If you get there mid-June and the beans are like failing, or it's almost like not too late to try to do something there.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think so.
We could do like pull an emergency cord or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's the stuff. I mean, that's the remote aspect of it, right?
And so here's the stuff we got to after all that was kind of done. We kind of had like a pipe dream of like, oh, maybe we'll get time to pull out those big feed wagons.
Mm-hmm.
And like in our minds, we're like, oh, that would be sick if those could be blind bases. But also, I'm like, those things are probably
they haven't moved in 25 years,
probably locked up and just like in pieces. Who knows what kind of shape they're in. We freaking hooked the tractor right up to those suckers and wheeled them right out. One was connected to the other. We just pulled them out like a train, train cars. Tires are holding air. Like they're in great shape. We just pulled them right to the spots, dropped them off, backed them in.
Crazy.
They're freaking ready to roll.
So we've got a plan for that of just going in and basically putting floor joists in and then 3/4 inch plywood for the base,
mm-hmm.
and then putting some sort of blind on the top of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a hard blind or a bell blind or soft blind, something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, so we got those into place. We also got 2 like scrape pools.
Yeah,
set in
critical, dude. I mean, those are spots that like literally those I think will make a.
There is no
really
way that they could. There's nothing to scrape on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There just isn't anything that's convenient for them to do.
You wait, dude. That corn cove, we're gonna kill multiple bucks over that scrape pole right there.
Yeah,
multiple.
I think the crazy thing is I had the hand auger in there, which was mainly because I was gonna put in a gate in Kentucky, and we pulled that out, and we were like 4 feet deep of topsoil.
Yeah,
like straight black gold topsoil. I couldn't believe it.
It was impressive.
I'm so used to going 6 to 8 inches down and then it's like clay and rocks and everything else. No, it was just pure black topsoil as far as we could go.
Yeah. It was like 3-4 foot down. It looked exactly the same as the surface. Like you look at one and the other, I'm like, it's just pure topsoil.
That's wild. No wonder shit just grows out there.
Yeah, no wonder.
I mean that was like the aha moment of like, oh, that's a lot of topsoil. Speaking
of it and looking back, dude, man, we did get a lot done. We pulled multiple fence rows as well.
Yeah, that was the hardest work of the whole trip, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
that first one especially.
Yeah, just thank God for the tractor.
Had trees growing up through the fence, and I mean those things were 3 to 4 feet deep.
I'd say 4 foot.
Yeah,
they were way in.
They were gnarly.
Yeah, and dude, there's no way you're getting those out without
all old Osage.
Yeah,
yeah.
I could not believe. I mean, I don't know how old that fence post is. It could be between 30 and 60 years old. I don't know. I can't believe how hard that wood is when we're drilling. Like, I mean, fortunately, I had my drill and a whatever you call it.
Yeah, the large wood bit.
A boring bit or whatever. I can't believe how hard that wood was.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got those out. We got those augered, and we got them put in 2 key spots, Corn Cove and Pinch a Pinch.
Yeah. Speaking of the Corn Cove, so here's another. I mean, that's a little thing that I think could make all the difference was how we went in there. We've been in there now 3-4 times.
Yep.
Like, because I hunted it last year, I think was the first time we really looked at it, right?
What, the Corn Cove?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. All we knew is she was going to leave standing corn there, but we had typically sat at the fence gap on the other end of it.
Yeah. So last year we kind of like, the spot I think caught our eye because it was just kind of a natural cove in one of the ag fields that we have here that it made sense to have the farmer leave. It wasn't like, hey, this is the best spot or anything. It just it made sense.
2 years ago when we first bought it, we had a camera back there and it was beans.
Yeah.
And we got several of those bucks just in bachelor groups back in that. But we never hunted it, and we didn't hunt it last year until we decided to mow over corn. Because previous to that, we hunted over at the other end.
It was late November.
Yeah.
It wasn't until that second trip I went out that I hung a stand.
Yep. Yeah, but that's the first time we hunted it, and every buck that we were hunting went through there in daylight.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I saw quite a few deer.
Mm-hmm.
from that spot. I only hunted the one night, and the wind was just ridiculous. Like it was whipping, and the tree that's there is, I mean, it's great. It has good cover because some of the limbs have kind of broken and they're hanging around it. But it's still really exposed to the wind. It's like you know, it's just open ag field in front of it there. So I saw a lot of deer, but then over the course of that trip, I think like all 3 shooter bucks walked through it because I put a camera out there right at the beginning of that trip.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, like they come through here a lot more than we thought. And so this year we expanded on the corn that we're going to leave. So instead of like a quarter acre, we're going to have 2 acres there. So it'll have a much better buffer.
Yep.
We'll still have that back cove in there. And then, so you and I went in and we re-looked. I was like, man, there's two main places where they're dumping over this ditch.
Yep, where there's a fence.
And I mean, dude, it's just like, there might as well be like a high fence there because the ditch that's there is so severe.
It's a high wall.
It's a high wall. It's really pinching them down to the corner of this. And then the ag field pinches them up here. So it's like an hourglass. They got to be there. And so we went in and we were struggling to figure out how to get in bow range of both of the main trails without getting too far back off of off the cove itself. Right.
The safe move is to sit back off of it, but the closest bow shot we were going to have is 35 or 40 yards.
Yeah.
And if they're anywhere, like they're out of range.
Yeah. Yep. So we went in and realized that the guy that had leased this property prior had actually taken a rope and just tied up. It's just like old cattle fence at the higher of the 2. And that was getting used pretty heavily. They had, it's like all the dirt had kind of like almost like an erosion line looking down through there. And we're like, man, that is what's creating the problem for us here. Like we need to eliminate that option.
Yeah, because they can get behind us.
And push them down to the lower one.
Well, and we talked about this before. I wish we had a map on it, but like we mentioned this field. We always mentioned the lower third of this field. These deer take this lower third, and it's just it's a barren field, right? We're treating it almost as dead space, but these deer use that lower third going north to south a lot. And so this trail is kind of at the top part of that lower third. And so we were just trying to push everything down to the bottom part of that lower third.
Even the middle.
Even the middle. And then use the rest of that field as dead space for our wind to blow right back into. Yeah. And so we essentially just cut down a bunch of trees to pile up in front and eliminate that trail, block it off.
Yeah. There were some really fortunately placed, whatever those were,
hackberry type trees. Yeah.
So what we did was we got rid of the rope on that upper crossing there, and then fell as many trees and stacked as many bushes along the, that old cattle fence as we could to just make it like, just make it.
If they want to cross, they can cross, but we just want them to look at it and be like, I can go down here.
Yep.
And do it early enough that throughout the entire summer, they make that adaptation. Like if you go in and do that 2 weeks before the season, not good.
Not good.
Now we've got months of them getting used to this thing. By the time October rolls around, that other trail is going to be the highway. They'll just know that's what they use, and it'll set up perfect.
I think there's something too like that. I'm sure they can smell just trails as well as they can see them and stuff. Like they know where the deer have been, and so if they go to that upper one, even if they're like first time approaching that crossing, they're like, nothing's been across this in a while. Where are we going now? And they'll find this new lower spot, and
which they were using too, just not as much.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think it's just we just recreated like a little mini tornado, or the tree just fell and it closed that option, and there just weren't a whole lot to begin with. So.
Yep, and so then we've got this standing corn cove. We'll have this scrape pole there that's going to be set up, and
I mean, dude, it's
a great spot. And basically anything west, northwest, dead. Yeah, we are in the tree. We're going to be nosebleed.
If we sell that farm someday, that'll be like, we'll drive you right to that spot and be like, just sit here. Spot. Just sit here.
Yep. We're gonna put one of the new lone wolf alphas in that tree.
Yes.
Because we're up there. It like because of the way that tree sits, like we're gonna be 25-ish feet probably up there.
Yeah.
But that's just simply so we're not like super eye level with anything that would walk down the fence coincidentally behind us.
Well, it's to get into that cover too that's up there.
Yep, that little hole right there. So yeah, so that was good to be able to look at that. Obviously, we went through and did a lot of strategy around those grain bins, in terms of how that's going to look and blinds.
I would almost even call our shot on that corn cove this year. I'm telling you, like
sure,
either the Big 8 or the 11
or whoever moves in
or the 9. They're all dead in that spot.
Yeah. If they're around, and somebody's gonna die in that. I would assume if we had camera in that, because we only ran a camera in there last year it was really right after you cut the corn down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when I put the camera there.
Yeah, so it was like 3 weeks
in November. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyways, that'll be a really good one. We're enhancing the bedding on the other to the north of that, where a lot of those deer are coming across the creek into that. We do have an east wind spot as well that leads into that corn cove. So we looked at that briefly. Yeah, man, everything just it just looked good, felt good. Everything got treated right. It was a couple long days, I mean, I left my house at 3:30 on, Friday, and I think we finally finished out and crashed at Paul's at like 10 something Central Time.
Yeah. Well, we just had, right tools for the job made all the difference.
Dark to dark, basically, is the way we went for 2 days.
Yeah, and it wasn't without its costs. We just talked about your truck is, blew a cylinder or something,
Yeah.
And not like we pushed it that hard on this trip, but it just, put miles on it kind of a thing. And
Piece of shit.
But anyways, yeah, we hauled out the Ranger with the sprayer on it, critical.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Kubota out there, like a 57 horse Kubota with a brush hog on it, critical.
Yep.
And then Chris dropped off his big 75 horse tractor with a
drill,
with a 5-foot Great Plains drill on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we used all three. Just
we were
boom,
just
boom,
rolling.
Boom.
Yep.
And we knocked it out.
Yep. We also got. Now that you mention that, we also, and it's just this is the maintenance thing that happens. We mowed all of our trails. So, like, all of our trails, all of our access points, everything got mowed. We'll need to mow them again, but at least it's not going to be 3-4 foot tall. Like, it's controlled.
Critical takeaways, too. After those long trips, it's easy to just be like, oh, done. Like, just throw everything in the barn and walk away. But we took the time to inventory our chemical, our herbicide. So, like, I know exactly what's in the barn. So, when the next trip, we're like, hey, do I need to
have this?
Yep. Yeah, I know what's there. And also, we're constantly looking at the old equipment that's there and taking inventory of what's usable.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it's a big disc.
It's like a 10+ foot disc
in the barn, and it's old.
Yeah, hydraulic.
And at first glance, you'd be like, "Oh, that obviously doesn't work." But we looked it over, and I'm like,
it's in great shape.
Things in great shape. It just needs an attachment.
Yeah, the couplet and connector.
Yeah, for the hydraulic. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just to lift it off and on the wheels. And so, man, I think we'll pick some of those couplings up. And the main thought for that is if we can put fire brakes in with that.
Yep. That would be huge. Yep.
And burn off.
Yeah. Cause we don't have, I have a disc, but it's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we could drop that thing and just rake around there and then light that bad boy.
Yeah.
Done deal.
And, with the size fields we're talking about, it's multiple miles worth of, of brake that would have to go in, so one and a half passes with that.
Yep.
With that, we'll get it done.
Yep. Just to make sure we have a plenty of a safe buffer there.
It's also a multi-road disc. I never in my life have I've been discing with that Ferminator for my whole life, and it's takes 6 passes might get it done. It's got one row.
I will say just and the drill obviously is a critical part of it, but we would never be able to be as efficient as we are if we were having to disc or till everything. I can vividly remember the amount of time spent disking and tilling and planning, and it was it was a multi-day project for just a couple acres because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now with whether you're burning it down with chemical and just whether it's clover or even brassica to a point, you're just seeding over it and rain's just going to soak it in. Or you've got a drill and your access to drill, for grains and stuff, being able to spray that stuff and then just come in and drill it and not have to do, essentially a full tillage and then a come back and plant. That time efficiency is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that sucks about that is obviously I've got a $6,000 Tar River drill, which frankly is not great, but it'll get the job done. I'm about to go to Kentucky and plant, and it'll do its job for 10 acres, and then it'll go sit in the barn. I'd love to have a Great Plains or something like that, but they're $30,000. $30,000 for one of those things. It's crazy. It's as efficient as it makes you, and as good as it, we talked about the topsoil, like I don't want to have to reveal all that topsoil to erosion and to wind erosion. I don't want to have to reveal that new seed bed, to grow new weeds. But, most food plotters don't plant enough to justify $30,000 in a drill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sticky situation there. It's like the drill is a food plotter's dream, but the cost is almost so far out of reach compared to how often you use it. Like literally that Tar River I will use for 2 days.
I know.
And then it'll sit in the barn, and then maybe I use it for a day or two to plant fall plots, and then it sits in the barn. So for 360 of 65 days, it sits in the barn.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Meg was texting me yesterday. He's like, what do you think of these? I was like, yeah, dude, it's probably the best drill they make. But I was like, they're crazy expensive. He's like, I mean, it's basically like a lawnmower though, right? Like about purchasing. I'm like, yeah, that you're going to cut your lawn with one time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got it on like auto search on my thing. It's like anytime a Great Plains or a Land Pride drill or whatever comes up, or Sod Buster or something, like any of these big drills that come up, I'm like, get a notification. And they're like 15-year-old drills are like $27,000. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just, that's the biggest hurdle here, is because so many people ask us, they're like, if you had it your way, what would you do? It's like, I would spray and I would drill everything. But like, you got to justify the cost of the drill. And like I said, there's cheap drills out there. I have one, but at some point, maybe even this weekend, it's going to go to shit, and then I'm screwed.
Yeah, and we've done fine. In Illinois, Chris has been generous to let us borrow his. But I also think if we really, I know other people have drills and or would be open to buying in on one type of thing. So if you're in a like in an area like that where guys are
huge,
are putting in grains, putting in food plots and stuff, we probably could pretty easily go to 3, 4, 5 of our neighbors and be like, hey, we're looking at this drill. Would you guys consider,
buying in on this,
and then we would be more like, 5 to 10, per person.
Because even like in your Ohio farm, you've got a county program where it's like, hey, you're having a hell of a time getting it.
Yeah. Well, that's the deal with those, with the county drills, is there's just a list, and it's just like, when you get the call, you get the call. And so you're trying to like, be timely with trips and with weather and stuff like that, and it's just you don't really have
that flexibility.
Luxury.
Yeah.
But is that luxury worth $30,000 or $40,000?
No, it's like, not. There's no way.
It's not like, okay, I'll just wait, I guess.
No, it's not. Yeah. So I mean, I do agree. I think if you had a core group of people where you could all go in on it, makes a complete sense, because then you have a high quality unit. You guys can figure out, you get it for 2 days, I get it for 2 days. Like everybody's going to want to plant and trying to get around the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, your other option is to buy something that's cheap and you roll the dice on it.
In the Midwest, too, I feel like the window is bigger. Like, because the soils are so good.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you can. It's not like, oh, you missed that weekend. Like, back home, we notice it pretty severely here. If you're 1 or 2 or 3 weekends off in any direction, like, your crop is going to suffer. But out there, it's like, you could plant corn like almost in mid to late June and still be okay.
They did. That's when they planted our corn out there last year, and we're like, boy, that seems late, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, well, we talked about it even with this upcoming weekend. Like, I've got truck issues, so I'm fixing my other truck to get it out to pull the tractor, because like I have to get it in this weekend to catch rain on Monday, Tuesday, because then it's 10 days without it. And like no rain, no growth. Like that's just like we don't have the soil moisture retention that some of these high quality soils have in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you gotta try to get it in the ground and make sure that everything's done. But yeah, it's the hardest question, I think, to answer when people write in about that, because the obvious answer is, yeah, get a great drill and you'll never look back. But
check this out.
It's just not cost effective.
Well, Nick and I were talking about that yesterday. He mentioned this to me. Apparently, Great Plains has a 0% financing deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm like,
I'm interested.
I haven't looked into it very much, but it's like, yeah, that could.
I mean, that's why you buy a tractor, right? Like I buy a tractor. Like when I bought my Kubota, I traded in a Kubota, but when I bought it, I'm on 0% for 72 months. So basically there's no interest. I just make a monthly payment of whatever it is, a couple $100.
So that'd be something to look at. No HUNTR promo code. Sorry for you. But.
Yeah. But the problem still is that like I don't use it as much as I use my tractor.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
So it really comes down to the fact that you're going to use it for 5 days, 6 days a year.
I'm getting to a point where I'm like needing it more and more because we have so much open ground on our farm in Ohio.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, dude,
that would make sense.
I could send Dad out and he could be drilling switch, like, you know.
Yeah.
We probably would use it more to, 10 to 14 days, out of the year.
That would make sense.
Between your clover, your brassicas, your grains, your cover crops, and your grasses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can put a lot of stuff in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whereas, like, I don't have, like, in Ohio, it was cheaper for me to pay Matt Stewart to go and drill my stuff in Ohio than it was for me to even load up my drill and bring it down there.
Yeah.
No brainer. Right? So, yeah, I mean, I think you just have to weigh. Well, so let's look at that, because I think a lot of people have asked about like our efficiency, and we kind of just went over the Illinois trip there, and like it's like, hey, we binge these things. Like when we talk about like we go dark to dark for 2-3 days in a row, like that's exactly what it is. That's how you get it done. But I think we've both learned also there's an efficiency and a time cost benefit for us staying back and having the right people out there. You mentioned Caden being out there. Yeah. The co-op was a big one. Would the co-op charge us per acre to spray?
$10.
$10 per acre with a large sprayer to do that CRP.
Maybe 7 to 10.
Obviously, we had to pay for the chemical. We would have had to pay for the chemical anyways. Mm-hmm. But it cost us $10 an acre for them to go and spray.
Yeah, I mean, this is standard application. It was like 2 quarts of Glide and AMS, which is your ammonium sulfate. It was $800 to spray 40 acres. And that's the chemical and the cost.
If we would have drove out there with our side-by-side to spray it, we would have had way more cost into it.
Yeah, I mean, 40 acres, that's a whole property.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like, most people listening to this probably have the same mindset that we have, which is like, we're sweat equity guys. We're just going to grind and we're going to get it done. But be smart with your time as well. Like if you can find key people, even like a Caden out there.
Just look around. Like, dude, if you're an ag ground, it's like, you think about what you're trying to accomplish, which is like, oh, I want to plant, this 2 or 3. I'm like, look, there's thousands and thousands of acres of cropland around you.
Yeah.
Try to tap into some of that, there's some of that can spill over. Just work with your farmer. Like,
dude, we work great with our farmer.
It's like we have not much ag because most of it's in CRP.
It's 8 acres.
You get an 8-acre cornfield, ag field. They'll do the beans and off years. But I basically was like, hey, we just worked the math ahead of time. I said, hey, if you just plant this for free, we're going to charge you a crop rent, which would be $250 or $300 an acre.
Yeah.
Not astronomical money. I said, if we just let you do that for free, can you leave us 2 acres of corn? And like the cost and effort, off of our backs and stuff, just instead of trying to plant a 2-acre cornfield, I'm like, freaking just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. No brainer.
No brainer.
So, I mean, those are the things that I think that, hopefully people listen to this will understand, like start to recognize the time that you have is valuable and realize that there are some things that you probably can outsource that are way more cost effective than trying to do it yourself, and value your time in that as well, because that's the hardest part.
It takes some, it's not just like, it's not like you just pay a service. Like in some cases, like the co-op is pretty efficient, but still, there's some corners I'd like for them to hit that. But really, Caden is the main one so it's like I trust him at this point to be competent. Like he can bring his machine, he can spray. Mm-hmm. I don't expect him to know, like to see all the designs of these plots even though, in my opinion, like they should be fairly obvious. I'm going to go out and meet him probably in June and take him through the whole farm and say, listen, here's the concept here. Here's how these all come together. Here's where this needs sprayed. And then once he knows that, he's a smart kid. I can trust him now to be like, hey, that needs. Go hit that. Go hit that. Go hit this. And
it was like the stuff he sprayed before. It cost us a couple $100, something like that.
Yeah,
for a day.
Yeah, and he, it wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it was great. It was a huge help. And so little stuff like that, a little bit of hand holding in the beginning, I think will go a long way.
Yeah. So I think that if you take anything from this, like listen to everything, and that you're gonna have to binge when the time is right to get stuff done. There will be things that you want to do and have the control so you can have the design, make sure it's done right. But look at the opportunities for cooperative partnerships out there, whether it's a local person and or a co-op that can accomplish a lot of the goals that you're looking to do, probably for way cheaper, and you don't have to be there. You don't have to sacrifice your time for it. I think that's a big piece of the puzzle to being able to maintain, especially a remote property. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the basics of it, man. I think it's nice to have that done. Now we can turn our attention to our home farms, which we got to get seed in the ground here. And
what's the quick rundown on where are we at with? So you're going down to Ohio tomorrow?
I'm going to Kentucky tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep, Ohio's done. I have to get a fence up there, which maybe I'll do on Monday on the way home from Memorial Day weekend down there. So Friday, tomorrow, I'm going to drive down to Kentucky, and I'm going to start drilling. I got 85-day corn to get in and beans. So I'm going to try to just start drilling as much as I can tomorrow, and then I'll finish it on Saturday.
So all sprayed already?
Yep, everything's nuked.
Okay.
Yep, so we're good there. So, and then I've got rain coming on Monday, Tuesday down there.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep, so I'll drill all of that. I've got about 7 or 8 acres of beans, and I've got about 3 acres of corn to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And I also will probably put some Sturgis deer fence up in areas that I need screening that I don't have switch in.
Yeah.
So those will be the things that I try to get done.
That seed is similar to like a switchgrass, right?
Yeah, it's a sorghum seed usually. Yeah. Oh, no. It's bigger. Yeah. It's smaller than a soybean seed, but bigger than a brassica seed.
Gotcha.
Yep, and that would be
it'd be a small box seed though.
Yep.
Like for a drill. Yeah.
Yep. Egyptian wheat.
I think I'm gonna drill it. That's
what I'm doing.
Because I'm in a similar boat to you. If I happen to get a call and I can go plant like Sunday would be perfect. Yep. I've got that 10 acres of beans to go in and 7 acres of switch, and then I would also consider spraying for the first time and drilling in some of that fence.
Yep. I think that's a good move on that. So yeah, it just goes small seed box. Forget what the rate is. It's like 7 pounds per acre or something like that. But in like if you're doing a 7-foot drill, like you want 2 passes to have a nice wide screen there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, if you do, like I'll end up doing it against some corn and stuff. I'll only do a single row against corn, but
I'm gonna do mine up against that walk in to the tin shed gas line stand.
Yep.
Just insulate us from that whole block of timber.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I'd be curious to see if the cows leave that alone or if they just demolish it.
They'll probably eat it.
They'll eat it.
Yeah, it's because it's grain sorghum, giant sorghum.
Dang.
The Egyptian wheat, I don't know, but the sorghum they probably will.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get that in, and that's then I have everything in that I need to get in. The only other thing I might do is I've got some rye plots that I might mow and terminate while I'm down there.
I'd get on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to spray some of my switch. I got to do quincaloric on some of my stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to do that too, but I'm going to probably have to wait to another trip because I've got the family coming down Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Saturday free of like I won't be around.
Dude, Carter's got to be close to like farmhand status.
I would trust Harlan more with the farmhand status.
Would you?
Yeah. Carter would just be like staring at the sky and just take it over a cliff. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll release on the other one for that. But so that'll be it. Encouraging though, I'm seeing a lot of bucks down there. Nothing like, well, that one that I got a few weeks ago, I'm like, that's one of those good ones. But I've got a lot of 2-year-olds, maybe a couple 3-year-olds showing up down there already. I've got a couple really good ones in Ohio popping up already. My clover field one of the clover fields, the other one I really have eyes on, looks amazing, which is super encouraging. And we got a ton of rain in Ohio too after Matt put those beans in, so I assume those are popping. So that's why I got to get that fence up.
Yep.
But that's kind of that's all I got for right now down there, and I'll be in pretty good shape. I can't feed down there yet. That's not until August 1st. So I've got mineral licks out. I've got some trophy rocks out.
Do you need any more of those?
I've got a few still.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm just kind of, once I get those crops in, I'll feel better about the situation.
I wish we had more cameras running just on the food plots.
Yeah, just to see them.
Just to see the food plots.
Well, we set the one up in the pinch, and I'm like, boy, this is going to be awesome to watch this grow. And then you were like, hey, I turned that off. And I was like, yeah, I didn't turn it back on.
I could probably have Caden or Chris just run back in and flip that one on.
Yeah, that'd be
we haven't missed anything yet.
No.
I just like seeing I like to see the stuff die and the new stuff start popping.
Well, in the Cove, that stuff, that Clef and 2,4-D DB is cranking and is taking a lot of that out.
I'm seeing some of that grass at north start to yellow a little bit too.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're in really good shape there. It's just, now it's back to the home farms, get stuff in the ground, catch timely rains. What what else can you ask for, man? You know, it's May 22nd. You're listening to this, it's like the 25th or something like that. Yeah. Like, dude, it's Memorial Day weekend if you're listening to this. We got TAC and PA next week, and then it's June.
I know.
And I guess we're going to do an individual pod here coming up. This will air a couple weeks later, but we'll talk about draw statuses that we got pulling in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
it, man. Yeah. I want people to listen to this and feel encouraged about, like, you can do it. You're going to have to pull some long ass days. You're going to have to be efficient, but, just go out there, and I give you all the credit, dude. You go out with a plan, and I'm just there to execute. You just tell me what to do. I just execute.
I'm a planner.
Yeah. But I mean, we were like,
I literally, dude, nothing fires me up like this stuff, dude. I lay in my bed at night, and I'm just thinking. What do we need to order here? Like, how are we gonna execute this? And I time it out, and I'm like, how do I get this? I can convince Jeremy to get away from his kid schedule and stuff, and then I'm like, and we pull it off every time.
Yeah. It was funny when we like got done on, I guess it was Saturday night, and it was like 2 hours before dark, and we're like, what do we do? Like, we're done. Like, we literally we're done.
Can you believe how much we got done? Like, it's kind of crazy to look back on it. We knocked it out.
Yeah. And it felt good leaving there knowing that rain was coming. And yeah, I mean, listen, shit can happen. You know, there's a lot of things that can get in the way, and a lot of things that can happen in the summer, you know, from droughts or whatever, but you do everything that you can in the moments that you can control it, and hope it works out.
It's fun to, like, I mean, because it's far away. It's like it's an adventure, and it's like there's so many things that can go wrong, and I think as we do more and more of these, like as time goes on here, we account for more and more of that. Like, we've got backup stuff, like, and you just get it done. And on this one here, it's like it's the first I can remember. I'm like, I don't think we broke anything. I don't think we broke anything. I don't think we got any flat tires.
Broke my truck, apparently.
At the end, yeah. That would have been interesting. You know, we would have had to figure that out on the way. But, I mean, it just went so smooth.
Yeah. No, it was good. And we forgot to mention, we had Jackie Moon out there fix the house.
Oh, yeah.
So we fixed the siding and a lot of the soffit fascia, and fixed some drainage issues. So that house is rock solid now.
I'm telling you, man, that's the only way to have that kind of, like, smoothness is just when something comes into your head, just do it right now. Just do what you do. That's the biggest creator of anxiety for me, is like lack of progress. And
procrastination.
So when something pops into my head, you do it immediately. I'm like, I need to text the guy and at least, like, get it started. You know? So I
think that's ADD.
That is what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, that's the way to get it done. And, you know, when you've got a lot of moving pieces, which between businesses and life and family and farms, like we do, like, it's kind of what you have to do. You just have to get out there and,
for instance,
and knock it out.
When we drove home and we're like, hey, we should probably have that other farm. I'm like, I just wrote the letter immediately, and, like, we sent it out that day. Yeah, because if you wait, it's not going to go.
No, we'll forget about it.
Just like, I'll do it. I'll get to it.
Yep. And then they'll be like, oh, sold it last week. Wish you would have wrote me. And you're like, damn it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll see. No response yet, huh?
Not yet. I got that call from Illinois the other day. I was like, oh. He's like, I want to see if you get a free quote. I'm like, no. I'm waiting for an important call.
I got an important call from Illinois coming in.
Can't stay on the line.
So, anyways, we appreciate everyone listening to Farm Companion this week, and we'll see you next week.
Farm Companion.
Take me